I can't thank you guys enough. Super excited that our paths crossed and that our university gets the benefit of working with you guys. It's a great partnership. I would
Thank
encourage
you.
anyone who's not in it to get in it.
All right, everybody, welcome back after about an 18-month hiatus from the podcast. We are back. Sean Connors, co-founder and CEO with eTeam Sponsor, excited to get the podcast rolling again. Really excited to have our first guest back, Mark McHorney, Director of Athletics, Benedictine University in Lisle, Illinois. For those of you that don't know where that's located, suburb of Chicago, right, Mark?
Yeah, right outside.
Right outside, yeah. So not too far from Naperville. Going to have some fun today. Going to get to know Mark a little bit better and share a little bit of what's been successful for Mark in his career. We'll have a little fun with the food today, some of Chicago's finest food, and we'll have a little fun here at the end. So, Mark, welcome to the eTeam Sponsor podcast. How are you?
Good. Thank you for having me. Excited to be here. First podcast in my career here.
Yeah, long time listener, first time caller, right?
Yeah, exactly.
There you go. Good deal, man. Well, let's jump in. Let's give everybody a little bit of quick background on yourself and how you ended up at Benedictine.
About 6 months before the pandemic, I accepted a new role as the Chief Student Engagement Officer at the institution. Athletics is in the portfolio, and I did the job for about a decade. So very connected to the athletic department, very involved. A lot of passion there. So I do spend a lot of time with our student athletes, our coaches, and in our athletic administration, certainly. But yeah, it started out as I was hired to recruit student athletes at the university for all of our programs and sport teams. Did that for a few years. Individual here who's now our current president took a chance on me, saw something in me that maybe I didn't see in myself. I always wanted to coach, so that was kind of the path, and then got out of that, got into the administrative side of things, and I'd never supervised a full-time person in my life, my career. I should, like adults, I always supervise student workers or things like that along the way. So, quite a learning curve, but some great coaches and great students to help me through that. And we did that for about a decade before, pre-pandemic kind of got into that new challenge a little bit.
Very cool. So was your background in athletics? Did you play any sports? You said you wanted to coach. Was there a sport of choice?
I did. I played basketball at a Division III school in Fond du Lac, Wisconsin, Marian University. Started coaching immediately out of college. I accepted a varsity job in a town in southeast Wisconsin called Albany, the Albany Comets. And then I went from there.
Cool mascot. I like that.
Yeah, it was an interesting time. I love the players, some good people in the community. It's reflecting back on it. I'd probably do 100 things differently today than my 23-year-old self did. But it was a great experience, great kids. Love the players there without a doubt. But then tried to kind of make a career of that and became a grad assistant at Concordia in River Forest, Illinois, and did that for a couple of years while working full time for the Park District in Oak Park, and then caught a break and got onto an admissions role at Concordia, and then caught another break and got on full time here at Benedictine, and I've been here ever since. So I was in a meeting this morning, and I actually said in my, the first decade I was here, it's kind of weird. You start getting some miles on the legs real quick, but it's been a great experience for me, without a doubt. Every step of the way, we've been professionally challenged, which is all you can ask for.
Oh man, Division III athletics. Talk about a challenge, right? I mean, I think we've had it's not Division III athletics, private institutions. I mean, there's challenges across the board. So, well, let's jump into some of those. I mean, that's one of the reasons that we like our podcast and the format that we've created and the feedback that we've gotten over the years has been, people like yourself, they love hearing from their peers. Hey, what kind of, what does success look like to them? How did they get there? Who are the people that helped them along the way? Things that would help them lead to win, maybe in their role on the campuses that they're at. So, we've got Division III athletic directors and folks at private institutions across the country, four-year colleges, high schools. Talk to us a little bit about that journey. What were some of the challenges? You've been at Benedictine now 10 years. Talk to us about some of the challenges and some of the solutions you guys have come up with.
Yeah, first and foremost, you're looking at, how do you manage people from all walks of life, different ages? I remember calling my dad and thinking like, hey, what do you not enjoy about those individuals who've managed you? Because he was in the age bracket as some of our head coaches. Trying to navigate that and how do you relate to everybody? Because at the end of the day, and I don't know, it's hard to generalize, but a lot of people who get in to kind of that athletic administration level, they seem to enter at a younger age nowadays, or at least it just seems that way. And, the first thing you find is you just want to dominate the world, and kind of realizing that you got to take small bites from the apple, but they add up, and then realizing that the people that are in your care are more important to the success of the overall good. The big picture is the university, not necessarily your agenda, but the people in your care are critical to that. And if you have an acrimonious relationship with your head football coach, that's probably not going to help people gain confidence in you. And certainly, you want to support those individuals and find ways to level with them. That was probably one of the bigger ones, was just how do I relate to people in 4 different age brackets that all have different experience than I do. Second one was I wasn't a head coach at the college level. I was a head coach at the high school level, albeit for 1 year. But I actually think that I may have been better prepared, because as the athletic director, my role is to kind of be like the assistant coach. At least in basketball, I need to know how many timeouts there are. I need to know how many fouls each player has. The head coach is orchestrating what's going on the court. And as an athletic director, I think you're doing some of the same things. You got to know how many fouls are on all the players, how many timeouts are left in the game, what type of situation here. And try to get in front of those head coaches so they can see it, and start planning and instead of reacting ahead of time. And there's a skill set that comes with that. One of the best things I did is someone I didn't know what to do, so I just started calling athletic directors at successful programs in the country, and not realizing I'm trying to call on guys at Power 5 schools and
sure.
and like, hey, what did you do? And just being a little naive, but one of those calls, one of the individuals, they told me, they said, listen, there's this thing at NACDA, which is a professional organization. It's just awesome. And
sure.
they said, it's called the Mentoring Institute. Now, typically you're not supposed to go to it unless you're an aspiring, typically Division II, Division I AD. But they recommended it to me. And I remember I think the NACDA, I was like a 10-time returnee. I just kept going to that stinking thing. They didn't
changing your name from 1 year to the next. Different school.
They didn't let me in. They didn't let me in the 1 year, and not they were full. And I'm sure my registration was a month late. Lord only knows. But I called them up and I just said, look, this is where I'm learning how to do my job. And the learned experience, the experiences that you would learn in that room from some of those people that would talk about some very, deep, in-depth things, leading an athletic department was just unreal. And I think back and everyone, if people ask me, like, what do I do? I always just say, I hope NACDA still has the Mentoring Institute. I'm assuming they do, but I just recommend to people, just go to it and listen and just learn how to do your job. That was a very valuable tool and it's some great advice from somebody. Obviously one of the big the big things is resources too. I think a lot of people will listen. You're going to get a bunch of different coaches that have a bunch of different ideas of, if you could just give them this, they're going to do that. They're going to do this. How do you filter through all that? But at the end of the day, a lot of people will sit in those little meeting sessions and they'll tell people what they want to hear, right? It creates goodwill. Like, yeah, I want to have the same thing you do. You want a full-time assistant coach? Perfect. You want someone to do stats and analytics full-time? Let's get there. And what the other person hears is, wow, they're with me, they're going to do those things. Well, you better be prepared and have a plan to actually do what you say. Because what is a fleeting 2-minute conversation for you, that individual, like, they're going home and telling their spouse, I just talked to the AD, I'm getting a full-time assistant, we got someone doing data analytics, look out, here we go, we're going to win a national title. And for you, it's literally a 2-minute fleeting conversation that you kind of agreed to. So it's really having a strategy around, how do you best support people? How do you take their vision and apply it to the university's vision? And then at the end of the day, you have to be able to go acquire resources. You have to, whether it's philanthropic money, whether it's grant money, whether it's being able to be a good politician and work to acquire more resources from the institution itself. Whatever it is, you have to be able to acquire resources. You have to be skilled at that. Those are kind of the big things there.
I love it. Some big time nuggets there for everyone, aspiring athletic director, current athletic director, people that are looking to find the keys to success. There's some great insights in there. I appreciate you sharing that. So, well, let's talk about Benedictine. Let's talk about the school, the campus, back to school. Kids are going to be back on campus here in the next week. You and I were talking just before we started recording. Some beautiful facilities. It looks like those resources you were talking about acquiring here. It sounds like that definitely was instituted as part of your strategic plan. Take us through it. What are you looking forward to the most as school ramps back up? The athletic department. I know you're doing more than just athletics now. So talk us through. What are you excited for? What are you guys proud of to be able to turn over to the kids and let them utilize?
Just the energy alone, just getting there's always a good vibe on the campus when students return. There's a lot of freshmen are excited. Juniors and seniors. I feel like and I remember going through it. Man, those summer months sometimes were the longest. You get so close to people and you get these deep relationships when you live with people and it's not like going with your friends as you grew up. It's much different. Those first few weeks back are just they're kind of electric. We get football going. You get some of the home games. The other sports start taking off, and there's just such a great optimism about what's in front of you in the fall that I don't know what it is, but it's just a great time to be on a college campus. That is one of my favorite things. We have great facilities here. We have great venues. I feel like we have an institution that's been really behind our work. We're fortunate to have had some good competitive success in the last 15 years, which makes things exciting and it's fun too. We have a lot of new coaches. We've had some good turnover in the last few years. I say good. I don't mean we needed the turnover, but a lot of positions have turned over. So we have a lot of young head coaches. We're just welcoming. I mean, we started a lacrosse program here in some of the early years when I first started, and we're welcoming back like our first head coach who graduated from our program. Just kind of a cool thing. Very excited for that. And, it's just, there's a lot of things that go on at a university, but in an athletic department, it's just the optimism of what lays ahead is really good. Now, mid-season, it can be brutal. Don't get me wrong. But right now it's good.
Everybody's got a shot at a championship when they get back on campus. So that's that energy, enthusiasm, optimism. Got to love it all. That's great. Well, that's fantastic to hear. Let's circle back on your role. I got to be honest. Sure. I think in the 15 years I've been in this industry, I don't know that I've heard of a role like that. So for the listeners that are out there that are saying, "Man, geez, what kind of role is that? That sounds awesome." Detail that out for us. What is it? What are you going to be doing? Who are you working with? How's that impacting the campus?
So a lot of it is traditionally people would probably understand the role of a vice president of student life. Here, it's meant to be a little bit more around the experience of the student. So yes, there's in the portfolio of the job, there's student life, student affairs, athletics, campus safety, residence life, all those good things. And then it's a little bit more too about, students who may have a less than desirable experience will get routed through our office, and our role is to help them find satisfaction or, find the services that they need. I was fortunate to take on a lot of COVID responsibility, our COVID response team for the last few years. That was interesting. So we're just here to serve the students in their experience. And so a lot of it is those types of experiential, non-academic, co-curricular things of that nature kind of run through the student engagement office, division, whatever you'd call it. But it's been different. It's been rewarding. It's been fun. I tell my mom I'm doing things that she probably would just be, people that I went to school with and how I experienced college, they would, be rolling over laughing at knowing that, I'm sitting here on running a conduct process and trying to keep everyone on the straight and narrow. But, we want everyone to have a fun, meaningful, engaging experience that drives a lot of affinity back towards the institution. That's our goal.
I love it.
Pretty clear, pretty simple. So we just try to do that.
That's great. That's great. Well, I'll take the liberty then to chime in there with the shameful plug for eTeam Sponsor, because that's what we're all about. We know that, with us raising money for schools and institutions like yours, we get to unlock more opportunity and make sure that we can help you in that process of creating the best student athlete experience. So talk us through maybe some of the things. I know we were able to raise a bunch of money on the campus. Talk us through some of the things in terms of what type of impact that had on the student athletes.
Yeah, we're in a time now where the cost to travel is just astronomical. It's like doubled. We don't want to yield anything with the student athlete experience. And so what is that? Being able to raise that money allows us to charter, right? To make sure we're on charters as much as possible. Our baseball and softball teams, it's being in the Midwest and up north. We're lucky when we finally get to summer in July. Sure. So we spend about a quarter of their seasons they play during spring break in Florida. That's costly. We've had teams go to Hawaii. We've had teams go to Las Vegas. We've had teams go to Boston, New York to play. And our students are afforded opportunities they would never get if they didn't come here. And a lot of that's because of the work that you guys do and the position you put us in to be able to acquire philanthropic dollars from people who are willing to support our students, which is great.
Love hearing that. Well, we look forward to doing more of it here in the future for sure. So, well, Absolutely. as we look to kind of round out the podcast here and the interview, before we dive into the food and we do a little California versus Chicago hot dog test here.
So
we'll go a little rapid fire on some of the questions. Good to get a little more insight into who's maybe influenced you in your role. We love leadership. We love leadership here at the company. So it's one of our core values. We love hearing how leaders at other, our clients at other institutions, how they value leadership. So we'll go down the leadership path here. So let's start with who's most influential leader in your life?
Ooh, boy, that's I feel like it's a moving target. And
okay. Top three.
Top three, I have spent significant time looking at, just reading a little bit about Simon Sinek and some of the work that he has done.
Love it.
I love, there's, it was so good to reconnect during the pandemic with Michael Jordan and that work in The Last Dance. You forget how influential he was on everybody around him. And obviously he's a great talent, but his sheer will to drag people with him really influenced people. And then I love Steve Kerr. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, there we go. We'll take a little Bay Area boy here. I mean, sort of, even though I know he's another Bull.
Yeah. But he is I just feel like he's got a lot of command. Yeah. He's always appears to be in control, which a lot of basketball coaches don't. And man, he just sees a world that's a heck of a lot bigger than what he does. Yeah. And I just kind of I admire that.
I love it. Those are three great references. I mean, Simon Sinek, have you read, is there one book maybe that stood out to you? Was it maybe It Starts With Why or any of those?
Yeah, I think the Starts With Why is the one that kind of got me going. Okay. I'm that one's pretty good. I think that's just what, finding your purpose is what kind of drew me in.
Love it. Leaders Eat Last is another great one. We read that here as a leadership team, and that's another great one. I know he's fascinated with leadership, and we're fascinated reading up on his work. I love the Michael Jordan one. He was like he's the classic blend of like personal humility and professional will, right? Like that guy was willing to drag anybody through whatever they needed to in order to get where they all wanted to. And Steve Kerr, I can't think of somebody who approaches life with a more positive and poised approach. He's just, you're right. Those are three really good ones. I love it. If you had to say, I aspire to lead this in the future, what would it be? Doesn't even have to be in your profession. If you said, hey, I could dream of leading this.
Yeah. I watched this documentary on Amazon, and it was about Leeds United soccer.
Okay.
And this perennial second division team had once, great club in England. And I've become a big fan of English soccer.
Okay.
Everyone's familiar with the Sunderland one, but I got into this Leeds one. And so now literally I'm a Packer fan. I have every Packer game in my Outlook calendar. I have every Leeds game. And so I get up on like Sundays or Saturdays. If they're playing at 6 a.m., I'm on the couch, coffee in hand, screaming at the TV. But I would love to I'd love to get in that game. I think between the academies and how they run,
Sure.
the professional side of what we call soccer, they call football. Sure. It's just fascinating to me. And I would love to be in the English Premier League, just not on one of the teams that, you got to have money to survive in that thing.
Sure.
So you got if you don't have money, you're just bouncing around. But, Leeds United's kind of they're my crew.
I love that. That's great. I love it. Well, great. Well, I think, and what's the show that's on Apple TV right now? The American football coach,
Ted Lasso.
Ted Lasso. There we go.
Yeah, talk about inspirational. Inspirational leaders. He's got some nuggets.
Yeah, he does. I'll tell you what. As a leader in my own right here, I watch that, and my wife and I have some fun with it all the time. She's like, "Gosh, you should really think about using that." And I said, "I don't know how many times I've watched the show and said, you know what, I'm going to try that."
I'll tell you what. Be careful though. I did. There's a dart scene.
Okay. Oh yeah.
And I thought it was so profound, right? He's hustling this guy, and
sure,
people, and then I forgot that I think it's Hannah Wigginton. I don't know if I got her name correctly,
but you got it right. Yeah,
her language in that scene is it may put you in some hot water at work.
Yeah, exactly. You got to be PC.
Very PC. I know from personal experience.
Yeah,
you got to be very careful.
Noted. We'll take the Ted Lasso message. We may not use the actual language that was used. Yeah, that's good. I love that. Well, cool, man. Well, Mark, it's been a pleasure, man. This has been a lot of fun. Well, I'm a foodie. I love food.
Absolutely.
We talked about it a little bit before we got on. So I'm actually going to take the hot dog out here that I got. So we're going to have a little fun. When I think of Chicago, I definitely, and you being from, the great state of Wisconsin, I thought you'd appreciate this. When I think of Chicago, I think of two things. I think of a Chicago dog, and I think of pizza. And so I thought instead of, maybe sending over a pizza, being that you're a Wisconsin native, I thought, you know what? I know they got brats and dogs up there too. So we got you a hot dog there. And if you want to, bring it up on the screen, you can. I've got mine here. I'm showing everybody on our end. So we got a Casper's dog from California. It's been around since 1937, one of the oldest hot dog establishments in the state. And then we got a hot dog there from I think it's Portillo's. Portillo's. There we go. Portillo's. Yeah. So not too far down the road. So when Mark McHorney is looking at putting together a hot dog, Mark, what are you putting on the dog and why?
Oh yeah. So it's good. I have I always go, you got to have some onions on there.
Huh?
Now what I like about this one is they do this. They see, I'm a processed person. So onions, relish, and then you got to put mustard, but you should put mustard over the top of it.
Over the top. Okay.
Well, and my reason is because you don't want the onions and the relish to spill all over. And the ones that stick to the mustard when it's on the actual hot dog don't move, but they load them up, so all the extra ones fall off, and you're chasing them around your office all the time, or it's on your shirt or your pants or whatever. But
it acts like a bonding agent.
It does, exactly.
I love that.
But you need it on top so that you don't lose too many of the flavor there.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. Coming from a processed guy myself, Mark, I got to be honest. That's impressive. I love it. I would have never thought of that, but man, that's a genius call. I like that. Sorry, keep going.
But I used to put ketchup on these things, and that's being from Wisconsin. People in Wisconsin put ketchup on a lot of things they really shouldn't. They eat a lot of stuff they shouldn't either too. But I mean, between the brats, the sausage, I mean, it's half the state's under cardiac arrest. But I learned when I moved here that you do not put ketchup on a hot dog. So I stopped doing that.
Interesting. So no ketchup on the dog. Okay, so you've got mustard, onions, relish, and that's it. There it is. Look at that bad boy. That's a healthy dog. Now, I will say this as a public service announcement, especially to all of Mark's friends and family back in Wisconsin. I think that the American Heart Association has recommended you only eat one or two of these a year. So, yeah. Mark, this is hopefully you haven't had any before now, or if you've had one, you've now reached your limit.
No, this is it for tonight. We'll see.
I love it. So California-wise, kind of California Casper dog, pretty simple. Bratwurst dog, we go layered as well, layered approach. We go onions, relish. Now, here's where the California kicks in. Jalapeno, cheese, mustard, and yes, ketchup. So there's a lot, but it's kind of the California way, right? California, you go down to San Diego, you have what do they call it? A San Diego burrito. They put French fries in it. It's just out in California, we always have to try to one up everybody. So anyways, that's what I'm scarfing down.
I may have to try that.
Thoughts on the mix. What do you think?
Well, mild salsa literally makes the hair out of the back of my head sweat. So I would worry about the jalapeno. But I think the beautiful thing is trying to eat, food from the area you're from in the manner it's supposed to be, devoured in, right?
Exactly.
And so I would, if I'm on the road, not playing at home, I would try to eat the hot dog as it's made. I would not try to force my way of, I think that's part of the experience, unless you go to a really boring place where they just literally put mustard on the hot dog. Then you got to make a game time decision and or find a different place to eat.
Exactly. You're either making it your own or you're going to go find a different spot to eat. I agree with the logic there. Well, awesome. Well, Mark, this has been great, man. It's been really great to connect with you. We appreciate you sharing your story. This is, we want to make sure that we can get as much of this out to, our clients, people that follow our content, and again, just share the good word, what things have been impactful and successful for you along the way. We will allow you to finish your dog and get on with your evening. We appreciate you taking the time, man. We really do. And we'll definitely get you back on the podcast in the future. And next time we're in the Chicagoland area, we'll make sure to look you up and we'll come pay you a visit over on the Benedictine campus.
Absolutely. And I'll buy pizza. We'll do pizza that time. We'll take the whole company to lunch.
Again, your call. I said Giordano's earlier, but that doesn't mean that's what we need.
The Italian beef is kind of made. There's a show on. I can't think of the name. There's a new show on one of the streaming things. The Bear is the name of the show, and it's about a guy who runs an Italian beef shop in Chicago, and so that has become. You're starting to see it on national, the national news and all that stuff. So we may have, we may have to do 2 different days of food, and we can figure out which one is best for which day. But
Mark, do not threaten me with a good time, because I will say yes.
We'll do that, and then we'll have to figure out what's next after the food. But I can't thank you guys enough. Super excited that our paths crossed, and that our university gets the benefit of working with you guys. It's a great partnership. I would encourage anyone who's not in it to get in it. You know our story. We're all in it. If you're an athletic director, don't just let 1 or 2 of your programs do it. Push your development folks to jump in and be excited about it. And I would push all your teams into the same partnership we're in. It's just been so beneficial, and we're so happy.
You got it, Mark. Appreciate the kind words, man. You. And right back at you. All the best at the beginning of the school year. Continued success. And we will catch up with you down the road, my friend.